I cannot want more for you than you want for yourself. Forgot about the new music.
You did?
I did. I like it.
What are we talking about today? Today we're talking about responsibility in business. We're going to touch on all sorts of fun stuff. Hopefully you're feeling good. How are you feeling?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Todd. I'm here with my wife and business partner, Jen.
Hello.
You're listening to the Hello Hair Pro podcast. This episode is brought to you by our friends Ping Pong Design and Marketing, but we will get there. Like I always say to Jen, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. All right. So we're talking about responsibility, but before we dive into that, I want to point out something I recently noticed on Instagram.
Yes.
I was scrolling through and I was seeing all these sponsored ads.
This is a good one because I think this is a really important mental jot down right now to take.
Note.
I said mental jot down.
Mental jot down. It's like a punk band.
Whatever.
Thanks for coming out.
Now you're going to take a note because you thought about your mental jot down.
We are mental jot down. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next time, Boston. All right. So look, I don't like to see people waste money, especially in an industry that has like bare bones profitability for most people.
Correct.
If you're going to sponsor ads on Instagram, go through and create a custom audience.
So important.
I double checked to make sure this feature was still available and what it looked like. I haven't run an ad on Instagram in a long time or sponsored anything. But when you do this, you can create like a radius and you can narrow down an audience so that the money that you're paying makes sense for you. So I keep seeing now hiring and I click on it and it's in fucking Atlanta.
Right.
I'm not in Atlanta, nowhere near Atlanta.
They're paying for that ad.
But you just paid for me to see that. So the other thing, I saw a salon or a stylist post, come and see us at blah, blah, blah salon. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. Let me check out where it is. It was in LA. Like, I'm not near there.
Right. And since you clicked on it, they're paying for you.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So just a mental jot down. As Jen would say. Yes. I would say note, but just a mental jot down, I guess.
I also would like to add on that. I think it's really important to, yes, get that sponsored ad to pick for your target area of the people that you want to be seeing it. The other thing I think is really important, and it's a miss that I see very often, is a picture of the hair or whatever your post is, but there's no call to action. Meaning, if I stop on and I look at it, what do you want me to do? Are you asking me to book an appointment? Are you trying to get people to go to a class you're doing? Are you just sharing a formula? For me, I like a little bit of something with that. So if you book online all the time and you put a picture of chocolate raspberry, making fun here, but I mean, I don't really care what your caption is. But then if you're like, book online with me, link in bio, like that just tells somebody what to do with it. And I think that's very important because people need to be directed.
What do you mean? People don't automatically know what to do?
No, they have no idea and they'll just forget about you. But if you do give them a call to action, you're going to see more results that are actually doing what you're asking them to do. Mental jot down. Mental jot down.
That's another t-shirt right there. Hello Hair Pro podcast, mental jot down. All right.
You're welcome.
Let's move on. So responsibility in this episode actually stemmed from, I was reading a report about independent stylists and it got me thinking about responsibility because I think there's a major disconnect, at least in this one report that I noticed. And I think it might boil down to the, I want my cake and eat it too sort of mentality, which is fine. People don't know.
Yep.
We're just here to
you don't know what
share
you don't know.
Stories and hopefully help people along the way.
Yeah.
So this report is from Modern Salon, and you can find it on their website, I'm sure. And what they did was they surveyed a bunch of, I believe, independent stylists. Now, here's the deal. I didn't read this whole thing front to back, but I just looked at the charts to see sort of what their data was saying.
Right.
So they said, select up to 5 biggest advantages of being an independent operator, booth renter, or solo artist. So number 1 was freedom and control over your professional life. That's cool. Number 2 was greater flexibility. It's cool. Number 3 was independence. Now it starts to get a little redundant for me. Like, isn't freedom and control independence? But maybe they mean outside of work. I'm not sure. Number 4 was the ability to choose the brands to use. Okay, I see that. And then number 5 was more money. No, the list goes on. So there's also like be free of poor management and leadership. We're down with that. Ability to choose brands to sell. A little like redundant again, I guess.
Most of these things you can find at good commission salons, at least at ours.
Chance to express creativity. Interesting. No structure. So now, no structure is not good for a business, but then it goes on to say dress codes, meetings, training. Okay, I guess. Like for an industry that prides itself on education, you don't want to do trainings.
Right.
It's just, it's kind of confusing. So now if we look at the biggest disadvantages, and this was also a select up to 5. So the number 1 was no benefits, no traditional benefits. Okay. Number 2 was tax requirements of self-employment. I mean, you're paying your taxes. I'm sorry.
Either you're paying it or in a commission salon, the employer's paying it. Like,
right.
So you just have to pick which structure of pay you want.
I don't know why people would be confused about that. You don't keep 100% of your money. Managing paperwork. Okay, that comes with the independence, though, that you want.
Yeah, if you go out on your own, you have to run a business.
No front desk support, check-in, check-out scheduling. Correct. That's because you wanted to run a business. And again, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just pointing this stuff out because it seems like the things they wanted, the people in this survey, I'm not even talking to the people listening.
Yeah.
The people in this survey wanted to do their own stuff, but not really. That's what it seems like to me.
Agreed.
So relying solely on own client list was is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 5.
Which again, if in a salon that's commission, they're doing the marketing for you, and then you're doing some on top of that. If you're all on your own, you have to do your own marketing.
So if we run down this list a little more, no marketing or promotional support, no teamwork, pressure of paying rent, insurance requirements, purchasing supplies, no formal staff education. Interesting because on the other list, that was one of the bonuses.
Right.
All right. What this did, whether you agree, disagree, or whatever, is irrelevant to me. What it did for me was it got me thinking about responsibility. Mm-hmm. And whether you're an independent
it got my head
hair
just spinning.
Or when we went over it the other day or last night or whenever.
This doesn't even make sense.
When we looked at this, it was like, wait, just what I said. I don't need to repeat it.
Yeah. It goes into that, like you want to be out on your own but you want your cake and eat it too, whatever. I think what a lot of people don't realize, when you go out on your own and you are running a business, it's very fucking hard. And you don't see that maybe as much as the owner you were working with, and all you just criticize until you're doing it yourself. And then you're like, whoa, this is a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work and a lot of money that you need to put in if you want to grow your business.
I think people don't understand that all of that stuff gets paid for. You're paying for that one way or the other. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a commission situation, the salon is making sure you have all the product, or they should be making sure that you have all the products that you need for success.
All of the negatives on that list, that's what the commission salon is doing for you.
All of the some of the positives as well.
Yes, for sure.
At least in our salon.
Yeah.
So I forget where I was going. Oh, I remember. So those products need to be purchased regardless of where you work or your pay structure. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about commission versus independent versus whatever versus booth versus studios, I don't care anymore.
Whatever you want to call yourself.
Whatever you want to call it. I just said and I'm trying to work on that. So what was I saying?
I don't care what you want to call yourself, but I don't know where you're going with it.
Oh, you need the things, the products, the supplies, all that stuff to
operate your business,
to do your work.
Yeah.
So the money has to come from somewhere.
There's no way you thought you were going out on your own and you were just going to be supplied with products.
Right.
That'd be bizarre to me.
Right. That's what I'm confused about. I guess that's one of the things. The other thing was more money, but then it was one of the reasons to
go out on your own.
But then taxes, insurance, all that stuff came up. Yeah.
You need to use that more money to pay for those things, to pay for your marketing.
You don't just get to take it home. It needs to go into the business regardless of your setup.
Yeah. And if you're stressed about your rent, well, I'm sure sometimes one of the owners you worked for, it's the same thing. Like, it's just...
Every business owner is going to go through the ups and the downs. It doesn't matter. I saw another comment that said, it was someone complaining about a coworker, and then someone followed up in the comments and said, it doesn't matter. Build your clientele, move on your own. That's the only way you can make money. And I just clicked off because I was like, that's it for me. Because that's not the only way you can make money. And that's actually a silly...
It's a very small-minded way of thinking.
Yes, and almost negligent, because I believe a lot of people coming out of school think a commission salon is like a pass-through to get to independence. If you're not learning about business, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
Or it's going to be really hard, or you're going to set yourself back a couple of years and then have to rebuild because you don't understand marketing and how any of that stuff works. All right, so why do people, let's start that sentence over. Blah. Why do people struggle to accept responsibility? I think it's ego.
I think it's also, depending on I guess how you look at it. Yes, I think ego is one. And I do think, depending on, I guess, any bit of responsibility, whatever the situation is, most likely you're going into it and you thought it was going to be one way, and then you realize there's so much more that's coming on your plate. So you're just like, I don't want to do all this. And now what do? Take no responsibility, take some, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, whoa, I stepped way too far into this, and now what?
Another thing that I've seen personally, I was talking to a barber once, and they said, someday I want to have my own shop. And I said, that's great. You should do it. Go for it. And this person looked me dead in the eye. This was face to face. And they said, but I need to wait until I know everything. Because if something comes up, I don't want to have to, I don't want to like look like I need help, or look like I forget the exact words.
Huge mistake there.
Massive mistake. Yeah. Massive mistake. And that's okay. Yeah. You can still recover, but you need to be learning. If you want to open your own business, you need to be learning about business, not about hair.
And then you need to be building your network.
You can't go to hair school and learn. I mean, they touch on stuff, but not really.
Not a clue.
My school did quite a bit, I will say. But the majority of people that I talk to, there's no business, anything going on in school. So you're not going to get out of there and just automatically know what you're doing. And
even if you do a ton of research on business, you're never going to know everything about everything.
That's the point.
It's not possible.
No.
Like, that's why we speak a lot about building a network. Like, I had someone reach out the other day about hiring employees and letting them go and reporting that, and how difficult is it as an owner. It's someone that's starting their own salon. And I'm like, well, in my opinion, it's fairly easy, because I have a payroll company, and then I have an accountant that I go to whenever I have other questions that are outside of that. So, for us, I don't really know how that works, because when I have a problem or I run into a wall, I reach out to the people that I've hired that help
to have the answers or find the answers.
Yeah. So I'm like, I have a team, so that's who I use.
And often they won't know the answer, and they'll say, let me get back to you next week or tomorrow or this afternoon or whatever.
I had to reach out to the accountant this morning about some paperwork we got from the state that they're just changing some rules. And I'm like, does this apply to me or not? Yes, it does apply to you. I'm like, okay. And so Todd and I didn't strategize this morning on what are we going to do to streamline this so it's not like this added major job. And there we are.
So I want to go back to ego, because I think ego is huge. And I've made a lot of ego mistakes in my time owning businesses. And one that I want to go back to is at my gym. So when I first opened my gym, I was leaving a spot that was not well run. It was another gym. It was terrible. Now, I thought, I'm better than this. I can do it on my own. I can do it better on my own. That's ego right there. I should have thought to myself, Todd, maybe you should learn about business first before you go making these claims. Now, here's what happened. I was working with people. I was getting them really great results. Like I had people that lost 20, 40, 60, 80 pounds, I think. I think 80 was the highest, in the 80s. Now, the reason that I never had that 100-pound weight loss and the reason that I wasn't able to help even more people was because I had this idea that I knew it all. And why don't you just fucking listen to what I tell you? And if I had been able to knock my ego down a little bit back then, I probably would have helped way more people. And I helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I would have been able to help way more people and have way more of a greater impact than I did. So trust me when I say I get it. I
think too, I've actually met with people a lot lately that are going out on their own, and they're so in this mindset, and it's an ego thing too, that they're just going to do a better version of the salon they were in. Like, I'm just going to do it better, and I'm going to take care of my employees better than the last salon did, better than they took care of me. And every time I talk to them, I'm like, they'll give me their thing. I'm going to pay them all this money. I'm do all that. I'm like, you think that they're just going to arrive at your salon, and because you just give them all this money, they're going to have the knowledge that you had and somehow appreciate what you're paying them. They're not. Yes, you can do a better version of the salon you came from, or do a better version from the gym you came from. But until you look at what that better version is, learn from the mistakes of where you were, or actually own a business, you don't really understand what that all looks like.
Yeah.
In my opinion, so.
Oh, agreed.
And I feel like a lot of people in this industry are like, I'm just going to open a salon or go independent because I'm going to do it better. And then they get into it and they see all the real life things and all the struggles that come out of it. And they're like, oh, they were doing that because they were running a business, because they had to, because of the risk to profitability, all of these things that you just don't understand or want to until you're now doing it. And then you realize you're in that same situation, and no offense, since they've been doing it longer, you're doing it shittier than they were, because now you got to learn everything. Maybe not everybody, but that's what I say.
No, definitely not everybody. Look,
and I'm not attacking. It's just what I see in this, like, people come out with like unicorns and rainbows and leprechauns and everything's going to be beautiful. And it's like, it's a great idea.
That sounds like a most chaotic parade or nightmare ever.
You want to open up this business because you're just like, I want to share all the love, until you realize you can share all the love, but you have to do it with a mindset that protects the business, protects what you're doing, so the business can grow and be profitable.
And is responsible.
Correct.
Yeah, so quickly, you also, this just popped in my head because you said not everyone. And of course, not everyone. You never know where people are at. And I know that because when I was in school one time, we went to visit a shop. And I was talking to the owner, and I asked a question about lighting. And his ego took right over. You don't need to worry about that. You just need to learn how to do hair. You shouldn't be concerning yourself with business. Maybe one day, when you get there, you'll figure it out, or you'll have someone help you. And I was like, this guy has no clue. I already own a business.
Yeah.
I already own a barbershop and salon. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm in school to learn the hair. I already have the business.
I think in this industry, the ego part is really tricky. Interestingly enough, I think sometimes I should have had more of an ego than I did. I probably would have been more successful in the beginning if I did.
You would have.
Yeah, most often the scenario you just ran into, I feel like people almost have to like fluff their feathers to pretend they're bigger and better than they are. I'm like too realistic at times.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. So what are owners responsible for? Or
this is a good one.
If you are an independent, what are you responsible for? And some of this stuff won't matter for, independence,
one versus the other.
I think, versus the other, right? But you're responsible for building the business, for lifting others, for creating opportunities.
Yep.
You're responsible for management and leadership.
That's a big one.
You're responsible for safety, quality, staying on track, meaning the foundation of your business. If you have a mission and a vision and core principles, which you should by now if you've listened to us or anybody, you're responsible for steering the ship and keeping your business on track. You're responsible for staffing. Again, that doesn't apply to an independent unless you're bringing on maybe a assistant or something, which is cool, whatever. You're responsible for training, marketing, money, budgets, building the processes, the systems, the operations, having the inventory, staying on top of your taxes, paying your insurance, your rent, all of your agreements. You're responsible for evaluation. So are you constantly evaluating your systems?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do better? You're responsible for innovating, which is a necessity for small businesses. So stop avoiding it. You're responsible for technology and staying on top of stuff. In that report, the number one way for clients to get in touch overwhelmingly for booking was pen and paper. Pen and paper.
Mm-hmm. That is so archaic.
You
Please
cannot
step into this world of 2022.
So you're responsible for all of that stuff. You're responsible for compliance and regulations. Some stuff that you're doing may be illegal. You're responsible. It's your responsibility to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't just, something comes at you. You're not like, I just didn't know. It's yours to figure out, find out, do the research. Todd meets with the Small Business of New Hampshire every month, every other month, just to make sure if there are new rules or what's compliant, that we're following everything that we're supposed to. It's work.
You're also responsible for educating the public. So that goes back to, I don't think did we say marketing or anything in there? I did say marketing.
I think so, yeah.
So I remember this one time, and we can touch on any of those if you want. I remember this one time I was talking to somebody who, they launched a restaurant, and the restaurant didn't do well and it closed. Big hit, but no big deal because businesses close all the time. So the good news is it's the United States, and you can just go build another one.
I was going to say, open your next one.
But during the conversation, I kept hearing, the public just doesn't understand the food. The public doesn't do this. The public isn't ready for this.
I see so often blaming the public.
And I'm like, well, did you educate them?
Mm-hmm.
Also, are you trying to force feed them? Like, so if you are in a blue collar area and you think you're going to open up, this wasn't the situation, but
yeah,
you think you're going to open up a fine dining restaurant and get all the people, all the workers at lunchtime, it's probably not going to work.
Right.
What are people after?
Right.
Those people would be looking for, value, fast, good, filling, stuff like that.
That's why when they say opening a business, location is so important, because what are you doing with your location? Right.
You might be better served to have a food truck. And guess what? I've talked about having a food truck. There's no shame in that. If you're passing out sandwiches, make the best fucking sandwiches ever.
Right.
What was that movie? Chef?
I think so.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
I have the album, the record.
You do. That's a pretty good record.
It's a good one.
So there was a lot of deflection that was coming out of that and not taking responsibility. So my initial thought is, that's cool. Just go open another one. Do it again. Mm-hmm. But not if you're going to just deflect.
Right. Do it better. Find the right area. Right. Market to the people. Like, figure out, why did that one fail? What can you change? And don't blame everyone else, because you're a part of that equation. I have a hard time with that just in general, where people will use social media platforms just to blame everybody for everything they're doing. Stop canceling last minute. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. That's not running a business at all.
So what instead of telling people to stop doing that, what should they do instead? So they have a problem with, what'd you say? People canceling last minute?
That's one I see. Mm-hmm.
So
they should talk to the fucking individual.
Yeah. In that case, I think so. The cancellation policy,
passive aggressive one, is not for me.
The cancellation policy thing, I feel like, was big last year because people were coming out of pandemic life and back into regular life, and that was pissing people off. So the general public wasn't sure what to do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the passive aggressive thing doesn't work.
Yeah, just passive aggressive in general. I say you deal with the individual client, whatever it is, your staff, I don't care who it is, deal with it as a whole, deal with it individually, however you are. You can fire a client, you can fire a staff person. What do you need to do to make your life better? No one even needs to know about it except for you and that person. For sure. It's probably harder if you're using a pen and paper to fire a client. So for us, right, if you no-show and we can't get a hold of you, no big deal. We just turn off your account. Yeah. You can't book anymore. Mm-hmm. And when you call to book, it pulls up and it says no. And most often, you're probably not calling to book anymore. Right. It doesn't matter. Because you know you were a jerk. So we just, this might not work for you. If you want to be passive aggressive, go nuts. But what works for us is coming from a place of kindness and just
look, this relationship isn't going to work. Let's end it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Unless you have a scarcity mindset and then whatever, but we'll get there. All right, look, we told you we would tell you about ping pong, so we should.
Oh, yeah.
Our friends at Ping Pong Design and Marketing are amazing. So if you want to love your website again, or you're looking for more clients to fill your business, whatever that may be, Ping Pong is offering our audience a special discount on a website, on a digital marketing campaign. Visit the show notes, talk to Chris. Can't stress it enough.
Don't miss out.
Just even, I told someone recently, even just call, set up an appointment with him and have a conversation. He gave me so much insight on our first conversation that I probably could have done stuff for a little bit longer on my own, but we decided to move forward with it.
Right.
Have the conversation though. All right. Reach out. All right. Let's get back. Let's get back to the show. So now I want to chat about some things that are not your responsibility as an owner.
Okay.
So obviously there are many things that you are responsible for, but there's a lot that you're not responsible for. Such as happiness and building someone's book. Those were the two big ones I wanted to touch on today. Look, it's 2022. You said that earlier. It's almost 2023. And I feel like we need to start having these conversations.
I agree. So can I say something on the happiness one?
It's your podcast, man.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things, and
Talk whenever you want, just like I'm doing.
I speak this language at hello to our staff because I think it's very important when a staff might come to us looking for lots of things, but maybe aren't taking the actionable steps that show me they really want that stuff. And so I'll give like a little bit of a leeway there. And then eventually the conversation goes, I want everyone to be happy, by the way. It's really important to me. I think happiness is very important, but the individual themselves needs to figure it out. So the language I use here, and my staff will probably be laughing if they're listening, I cannot want more for you than you want for yourself. And it's a mistake I made in my first business where I could see this potential in people and could see the path that would get them to leading a better life as a hairstylist, a better life as a healthy individual outside of the salon, a better life with their significant other. I want to help all of these things. And basically I wanted to lead their happiness down a road that I thought would be great for them. And then I realized, like, I want you to be happy and I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form. But I'm not going to do more of the work than I see you doing. That's not my job.
Yes, correct. You're not responsible for that. I agree 100%. So like, look, I want you to be happy and doing what you love, but that doesn't mean for a second or even a millisecond, if we're getting crazy, that I'm on the hook for your happiness. You have to find a way to be happy and then bring that to the party.
Correct. And it's for a lot of people, it is a work. It's a work in progress for them to get there. And honestly, it's probably the most important thing you should work on is yourself and finding out what makes you happy.
Yeah, we do a lot of coaching with our team. And if people need help or if they just run down or having a bad run and they just need some time off, perfect. We can help with that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your overall like happiness or accepting responsibility for your happiness in your environment. So like if you're genuinely not happy and you work for us, you can leave. I don't want to see people go. And if that sounds harsh, that's not how I mean it. I'm just saying we don't have contracts to keep people around because of one of the biggest things is why would we want someone that's not happy to stick around? And
if you think it's somewhere else, then you should try that.
For sure.
And I've coached somebody that's like, I don't know if this choice you're making today is the right one for you. I have my own reservations on it and I express those. But at the end of the day, if you think making this move is going to make you happier, go for it. But because I care for our staff, I will literally be like, I think about X, Y, and Z first, whether it's to stay or to go, whatever. Some people I've even been like, I think it's great you're going. Please make sure you pick a place that has a few things that I think are going to be important in your future. I've done that before.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, like we've said a million times, or probably like 4 times, we want,
or a bazillion.
We want everyone to be happy. So if it's not at our business, that's totally fine. If it is at our business, it's totally fine.
Yeah, if you're in a spot right now where you're just miserable, but you're like, I have a contract, whatever, it doesn't matter. Fuck the contract. You need to be happy.
Yeah, talk to a lawyer. Talk to a lawyer.
Get out. You're never stuck. And if you feel stuck, take a deep breath, book a call. We'll explain to you how you're not stuck, because you should never feel that way.
You missed the pause. I was going to say take your pause.
Take your pause. There's ways to get unstuck, and sometimes that's the only way to starting the path to being happy.
So deep. All right, look.
Mental jot down.
Mental jot down. So, yeah, I don't want to get too crazy into it, but just figure it out. And again, if you need help, reach out to us, reach out to someone else, but especially our staff. I don't know what you might need. I might be able to connect you with someone that might be able to help you. I'm not a therapist, so I can't do that part.
Right.
But I've been through some stuff, so what I can do is listen. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's all it takes. All right, let's move on to the second one that I had here. So I am not responsible for building your book. You are. And here's what I mean by that, because people are like, if you're a commissioned salon.
People are freaking out. But
okay, sit down,
there's
Sally.
A business side of this that
sit the fuck down.
You should be like, oh, that makes sense.
I could feed you clients all day. But if you're blocking out your schedule, you're treating your clients like an inconvenience, you're not doing any of the little foundational things. At our salon, we give new clients a tour. Mm-hmm. If you're skipping all those little things, you're not really demonstrating that you care.
Right.
Then, when you're confused, and I'm not talking to specifically our salon.
Right.
This is
what you see
industry wide. Then you're confused about why people aren't coming back to see you. Mm-hmm. You could have filled your book.
Right.
Just because the salon is busy doesn't mean your book will be full. Just because a salon gets 1 million walk-ins doesn't mean your book will be full. Mm-hmm. If I walked into a barbershop and there was a guy that's sleeping in the chair and everyone else is busy, or the guy playing on his phone, and I'm not saying don't play on your fucking phone. Right. I do it sometimes, or the guy like ignores you when you walk in, or female, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's on you. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to pick that person.
Yeah, you're not getting a star next shame just because you fucking showed up. You're supposed to show up.
A little aggressive there, but yeah.
In your best,
I like it.
Best foot forward, like ready to go. However you present yourself for your creative person in this industry, like that best person, when you get to that front door, needs to show up in the salon. Then after that, you still have a ton of shit that you need to do. I say all the time, like it's a two-way street. So a little backstory, a little behind the scenes for Hello. Todd and I, or Hello itself, we put a shit ton of money into marketing. It's where we want to put our money so that our business can grow, so the clients come in, so we can fill our staff's books in a sense. Having said that, that's the side we do. There's a responsibility on their side, and that includes posting on social media, being active on social media.
Put yourself out there.
Giving the best 5-star Hello experience to every client every single fucking time they come in the salon. It's super important.
Of your ability.
Yeah. So interesting, we have
because obviously somebody's experience level or providing an experience that's less experienced is going to be off.
But
that was a confusing way, but I think you know what I mean.
It's their best experience they're giving.
Somebody that's just out of school can give a great experience for them.
Yeah.
For their level.
I just had this conversation because we have
it's the effort, because people pick up on effort.
Totally. So what I'll say to a newer staff member in our salon, I'm like, when that client sits in your chair and you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack because you know you're new, right? And the confidence is just lower and whatever. There's two things to me that kind of come in your head. Or like, what can you change, right? You can't change the amount of your level of talent at the time. Your technical skill is how you've arrived that day. There's nothing more you can do when that client's sitting in your chair. But what you can do, and in this business, it's building relationships, and this is how you build your book yourself, is give that client, exactly like you just said, the best experience you know how for who you have arrived today. And if you do that, they will come back, and then what you need to do is when that client leaves and you realize all the flaws in your technical ability, you've got time till the next 4 or 6 week appointment to work on that, to make that experience that much better technically when they come back in. That's your job for building your books.
Yeah, just get a little better each time. And people understand that too. Like the public understands that. They get it. Most rational people. Not talking about everyone, but
that experience is really so important.
For sure. So one thing when it comes to building books, I'm not responsible. And when I say I'm speaking for all business owners. You're not responsible for that stuff. What you are responsible for is removing that person from your recipe. So if someone is not a good fit, we remove them. If somebody wants to just sit around, we give them a little time and then we remove them. And it's not that we want anyone to go.
Right.
It's just we have a responsibility to our business.
And to our team members that are stepping up and doing that stuff.
Right. Everything that falls under what we're responsible for, we have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
So we can't have, or you can't have, like that sort of negativity and that sort of like expectation. Like I'm supposed to have this.
Like I said, it's a two-way street. It's a relationship. I'll put in effort, but you better put in the same amount or close to mine.
And you know what? We, like Jen mentioned, and we don't talk about spending money to like try to boast or anything like that, but we spend thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And even recently we've been turning people away. Yeah.
It's as an owner, it's like so frustrating to turn them away.
Equally as frustrating.
But then it's like so proud, like we're getting so busy that like we're in a situation where now we have to, build our team up so that we can accommodate more clients. And it's a sweet spot to be in for sure.
If you can play the long game and you can do some marketing.
And it's a long game. It's a marathon.
Owning a small business is a long game. It's not a short game.
It's a marathon.
So I don't know where people think that. Like you're not a .com startup that can start up a company and sell for $300 million in a year. It's not going to happen. No. So
it's an uphill battle.
I mean, I guess you could go do that, but either way, my point was if you play the long game, you get into some actual marketing, you get into like creating an actual business, you'll win. There are plenty of heads, plenty of hairs, plenty of bodies. People want to check you out. You are perfect for someone.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility though to find those people and then form the connection.
Yes.
That's as an owner and as a hair pro.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, just because you have a ton of options, and this is just a current thing, doesn't mean you automatically get handed the world. And when I say that, I promise that you have options. I don't know if people look around how many salons are posting now hiring.
Everybody.
You can probably get a job through an email.
Yeah.
You don't even have to meet someone. Don't even have to talk on the phone. So many people are looking for help. I'm seeing ads from friggin' Michigan.
Atlanta, whatever it was.
A whole bunch. Yeah. Iowa. Yeah, all over the place. So you'll get a job, no problem, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be better than where you're at.
Right.
For starters.
And if you can't just have a conversation where you're at to make it better, then you're not going to make it better anywhere else.
Right.
It starts on you.
I think when you're able to genuinely take responsibility for things that happen at your business or at your chair, if you're a hair pro, that's when you're going to make some progress.
I would agree.
All right. If you're not sure where to start, I wanted to touch on this because it's important. Don't do what I did and sit around and wait for like 3 years and just like be like, oh, this will probably work out. It's not going to. You're at where you're at. You might get lucky. Maybe. But a lot of businesses close in those first 3 to 5 years. Most.
Yeah.
So I'm begging you not to take that approach. It is okay, though, to not know what you're doing. Like, you need to take action, though. You need to figure it out. If you're not able to figure it out on your own, that's also okay. Find someone can help guide you along. You can reach out to us. You can reach out to a friend that has a business, a family member. You can go to your local library. I guarantee you they have books on small business development.
Local libraries, yay.
We do a lot of work with our local library and we love them. I think that's it for the show, right? Do you have anything else?
No, I do. I will say this when you mentioned.
So you do have something else.
This is a side note for hello. When you were talking about something on what is the owner's responsibility, I wrote down eye wash station because we need to get one at our salon. So guys, we do these things, but sometimes it actually will inspire me. Like, oh my God, we need to do that too. So we need an eye wash station.
We do.
Yeah, it's on my list for the responsibility of the owner in our business.
Yeah. So this is definitely not a comprehensive list on responsibilities. We just we had read through the report and it sparked some ideas. Yeah. So we wanted to start a conversation. That's all.
Super cool.
And we're out of here. All right. So if you've enjoyed the show, this episode, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, wherever, it would be really great if you left a review.
Please. We would very much appreciate it.
And if you want to chat,
reach out.
Yeah, reach out. And if you don't, we'll see you next week.
Keep listening. Have a great day.
Take care, you guys. Bye.